Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jimmy James. You're watching Football Special, a recap live on Catch It Live First. So this is what we normally do as a recorded video. But due to a lack of time, I thought we may as well do it live and then save having to upload it afterwards and what could go wrong. So we've got for you all of this weekend's football from around the UK and Europe. So let's start off with, first of all, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, ping that notifications bell, and if you can give us a thumbs up, that'd be superb. Let's see what I'm doing now. So without further ado, let's start off with the Premier League. So we'll go with today's game, keep it in order. Everton played Chelsea at home. It finished 0-0. Off looking at the stats, it wasn't a particularly thrilling game. Chelsea having 75% of the possession in that match. They had 12 goal attempts compared to Everton's 5. But shots on goal, Chelsea had 5, Everton had 4. So, yeah, there was more yellow cards, certainly, almost more yellow cards than chances. There was 2 yellow cards in the first half for Everton and 3 yellow cards in the second half, another 2 for Everton and 1 for Chelsea. So, not really much else you can say about that. There is match highlights on YouTube, but I don't think the highlights will be lasting very long. Just another thing to say, if you are watching, by the way, feel free to come and say hi in the live chat. Let me know how your team did over the weekend. Good, bad, indifferent, frustrating, ecstatic if you're a Liverpool fan. But yeah, otherwise, I'll just keep ploughing through these results. And moving on from the Everton-Chelsea dull match it looked like, we move on to Fulham and Southampton. Another 0-0. Blimey. What's going on with the Premier League? So the how many yellow cards? 1 in the first half, a yellow card for Southampton. That's all that happened in the first half. All that happened in the second half was another 2 yellow cards for Southampton and 1 for Fulham, finishing 0-0. It doesn't help either team, that, actually. With Southampton still rooted to the bit, the bottom of the table. Just 6 points from 17 games. I know they've got the new manager, but yeah, it's going to be a long season. It looks like Southampton are going to be going down unless they have a miraculous recovery. It's been done before, hasn't it? Leicester did it. But yeah, Fulham, they're in 9th place on 25 points. It's funny because a victory there would have taken them level on points with Manchester City. It's a funny old league, is the Premier League this season. We can move on to some goals now. Leicester hosted Wolves. It finished Leicester 0, Wolves 3. Guedes opened the scoring for Wolves on 19 minutes. And then a further 2 goals for Wolves in the first half. Gomez on 36 minutes and Kuna on 44 minutes made it 3-0 at half-time to Wolves. And that's the way it stayed. Lots of substitutions in the second half from both teams. No yellow cards though, and there was only 2 yellow cards in the first half, both to Leicester. So that is a good result for Leicester. For Wolves, sorry. Moves them just 2 points now behind Leicester. Wolves still in the drop zone in 18th, and Leicester just one place above in 17th. And like I said, after losing the last two games, just 2 points away from being in the drop zone now, Leicester. So that might be a good little Christmas present for Wolves. Moving on to Manchester United playing Bournemouth. It finished. Stop laughing, I can hear you all laughing now. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. And the headline on the report was, Juicy cherries leave United stone dead. Good headline, that. So it started going wrong for Manchester United on 29 minutes when Hugson gave Bournemouth the lead. And 29 minutes, that's all that happened, apart from 2 yellow cards, one for Bournemouth and one for United in that first half. In the second half, it took Bournemouth until the 61st minute through Kluivert to double the lead, making it 2-0. And then just 2 minutes later, Semenyo on 63 minutes made it 3-0 for Bournemouth. And I saw a lot of that match, and awful if you're a Manchester United fan. If you're a Bournemouth fan, you're in seventh heaven. There was 2 yellow cards in that second half to Bournemouth, and all in all, 4 in the match. That's all I can say about that. Let's move on quickly. Hammering with work to do. These games were played yesterday now on Saturday the 21st. So we'll start off with Crystal Palace hosted Arsenal and got a thumping really, losing by 1-5. Jesus, who's been in great scoring form lately, hasn't he? It took him 6 minutes to give Arsenal the lead. But Palace, through Sarr, got back on level terms quickly in the 11th minute. But then once again, that man Jesus on 15 minutes got Arsenal back in the lead, making it 2-1. And on 38 minutes, Havertz made it 3-1. So both teams went in at half-time with Arsenal having a 3-1 lead. In the second half, Martinelli made it 4-1 on 60 minutes with an assist from Declan Rice. And on the 84th minute, Declan Rice himself put the ball in the back of the net with an assist from Calafiori. And that's the way it finished. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 yellow cards in that match. 2 in the first half, 2 in the second. So in respect to the standings now, that puts Arsenal right on the heels of Chelsea. Arsenal in third place on 33 points. Chelsea in second place on 35 points. Liverpool out front on 39 points, having played a game less as well. They've only played 16. But at least it's getting a little bit tighter at the top. Yesterday, Brentford played host to Nottingham Forest. It was a pretty resounding result for Forest, coming away with a 2-0 victory. Aina on 38 minutes gave Forest the lead. And not long after half-time, Anthony Elanga on 51 minutes made it 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. And that's the way it finished. There were 2 yellow cards in the first half and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow cards in the second half. 7 in total. So if you're on the overs there, you had a good result. Brentford now are languishing in 12th behind Tottenham on level points, actually, both on 23. Forest, though, they are flying high. They're sitting 4th currently on 31 points, just 2 behind Arsenal. They've put a good run together. They had that loss 3-0 to Manchester City. But since then, they won against Manchester United. They beat Aston Villa. They also beat Brentford. So 4 wins from the last 5 games there from Nottingham Forest. They're on a decent run. Let's move on to Ipswich and Newcastle. That finished Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. It took less than a minute, and Isak gave Newcastle the lead. Murphy, with an assist from Anthony Gordon on 32 minutes, made it 2-0 to the Toon Army. And just before half-time, 2 minutes into added-on time, actually, at the end of the first half, Isak again on the score sheet, getting a brace, making it 3-0 to the away side, Newcastle. Just after the break, Isak again, on 54 minutes, made it 0-4. That was a hat-trick for him, and that's the way it stayed. There was a goal disallowed in the 93rd minute, a Dan Burn. I'm assuming it was a header, but I didn't actually see it. But it was disallowed for offside, so it did stay Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. There was 3 yellow cards in that match. Sorry, 2 yellow cards in that match. Yeah, correction. 2 yellow cards in that match. And a good result for the Toon, which moves them up to 8th in the league on 26 points, just one behind Manchester City now. Their last 5 games, they've drawn against Palace, they drew against Liverpool. Arguably, they should have won. Well, they didn't. They lost against Brentford, bizarrely. And then they beat Leicester and Ipswich, which moves them up to 8th place. Ipswich currently just one off the bottom on 12 points. So they're saying that. They've got double the tally of Southampton. Moving on to West Ham and Brighton. West Ham 1, Brighton 1. 0-0 at half-time. Then Vifer, on 51 minutes, gave Brighton the lead. Didn't take long, though, just 7 minutes later, and Kudus made it 1-1. And that's the way it ended. There was 1 yellow card in the second half, 3 yellow cards in the first half, 4 in total. That point for West Ham didn't really do anything because Everton, West Ham sitting 14th, Everton in 15th is still 4 behind. So it's a good point for West Ham to have, but they would have been hoping for more. But Brighton, they've stemmed the losses, put it that way. But the last 5 games, they've drawn, lost, drawn, lost, drawn. And where they were sitting in second not long ago, they now sit in 10th place on 25 points, level with Fulham and behind Fulham. So the wheels have come off their bus. Finally, there was a game in the Premier League. Aston Villa 2, Manchester City 1. 16 minutes, Villa took the lead with Duran after an assist from Morgan Rogers. And that's the way it stayed until half-time. After the break, Rogers himself, with an assist from McGinn, made it 2-0 to Aston Villa. And it wasn't until in the 93rd minute, Phil Foden pulled one back for Manchester City, but it was too late. And it's a terrible mistake leads to a goal. Defender ends up losing possession, allowing Foden to pick the ball up and slot it into the back of the net. Too little, though, like I said, and too late. Plenty of yellow cards in that match. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellow cards in that match. In respect to the standings, Aston Villa now overtake Manchester City, so Villa sit in 6th place on 28 points. Manchester City in 7th on 27 points. City's last 5 games have been, they lost 2-0 to Liverpool. No shame in that. Liverpool are looking fantastic. They beat Nottingham Forest, which was a good result, but then they drew with Palace. They've lost to Man United. They've lost to Aston Villa. There's going to be some pressure on the Man City team over the Christmas period because they're going to have to start picking wins up. Draws at this stage are no good. So we'll see how they cope with that. So that was round 17 completed. Moving on to the English Championship. There was some games that we covered on. We covered Luton and Derby. That was a bizarre match. Luton scoring a couple late on, wasn't it? Today there was one game played. It was West Brom v Bristol City. Finished West Brom 2, Bristol City 0. 2 goals towards the end of the first half. On 34 minutes, Johnston gave West Brom the lead, and then Johnson again on 43 minutes, making it 2-0. And that's the way the game finished. There was 3 yellow cards in the first half, 2 in the second, making it 5 in total. That puts West Brom in 7th place on 35 points. Bristol City, they sit mid-table in 12th on 27 points. So it's all pretty tight in the middle of the table there. Moving on to, these were yesterday's games now, Burnley and Watford. It finished Burnley 2, Watford 1. 9 minutes, Anthony with an assist from Brownhill gave Burnley the lead. And that's the way they went in at half-time. Then in the second half, Brownhill again, he made it 2-0 for Burnley, and a brace for him. In the 80th minute, Bart pulled one back for Watford, but too little, too late, and it finished Burnley 2, Watford 1. There was 3 yellow cards in the second half and 1 in the first. That means Burnley now, they stay in third, on 44 points. Watford, they sit in 8th on 34 points. So, yeah, they're not too far away from the playoff places, though, Watford. But you wouldn't want to be dropping too far back now. They're only 1 place behind Middlesbrough, who's sitting 6th. But they're just starting to look a little bit inconsistent when it comes to wins, Watford. Last 5 results was a win against Bristol City. Then they drew with QPR, drew with Hull. They got a win against West Brom, but then they lost against Burnley. They'll be hoping for a little bit of consistency. Next up, Cardiff played Sheffield United. It finished Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 2. 0-0 at half-time, just 2 yellow cards in that first half. And Sheffield United took the lead on 65 minutes through Kiefer Moore. And on 73 minutes, Kiefer Moore again made it 2-0 to Sheffield United. And that's the way it finished. There was 2 yellow cards in the second half, 2 in the first. So Cardiff did go on a decent run, didn't they, and started moving up that table. However, the last 5 games, they've lost, drawn, lost. So they're back in that... they are back in the relegation zone, 3 off the bottom. Sheffield United, they sit on top of the Championship, playing 22 matches on 48 points. A good run of form, 4 wins and a draw from the last 5 games. So it looks like the Blades are going to be having a good season. They are so far anyway. It's all rosy in Yorkshire. Leeds 4, Oxford United 0. Dan James on 9 minutes giving Leeds the lead, and that's the way it stayed until half-time. In the second half, Bogle on 57 minutes made it 2-0. Aronson on 67 minutes made it 3-0. And on 73 minutes, Solomon made it 4-0. And that's the way it finished. No yellow cards in the second half, just the 1 in the first half for Oxford. So Leeds stay in second place, having played 22 points. They're on 45 points, just 3 behind Sheffield United and 1 in front of Burnley. Oxford, they won off the bottom, 21 games played. They level on points with Cardiff and Plymouth, who sit bottom. So the bottom three teams are all on 18 points. Their last 5 games, they've had 4 losses and a draw. They managed a draw against Millwall. Funnily enough, next up, Millwall and Blackburn. It finished Millwall 1, Blackburn 0. Good result there for Millwall. 0-0 at half-time, just a 1 yellow card in the first half for Blackburn. And the first goal came 6 minutes into added-on time. Ivanovic with an assist from Leonard, grabbing all 3 points there for Millwall. The fans would have enjoyed that because it did look like spoils were going to be shared. But no, 6 points. 6 minutes into added on time, gave all 3 points to Millwall, which Blackburn stay in 5th position on 37 points, but they won the previous 4, so they'll be disappointed with that. Millwall stopped the rot there. They sit in 7th on 28 points, having from the last 5 games. They drew against Oxford, but then they lost against Coventry, Sheffield United and Middlesbrough. It's a tough run of games, that, though, in fairness for Millwall. So it's no surprise that they've picked up 3 points against Blackburn. Moving on to Plymouth Argyle and Middlesbrough. What a goal fest it was at Home Park. It finished Plymouth 3, Middlesbrough 3. Plymouth took the lead with Gibson on 38 minutes after an assist from Ryan Hardy. And the teams went in 1-0 to Plymouth at half-time. Didn't take long, though, in the second half. Howson on 50 minutes levelled things up. On 72 minutes, Giabi, with an assist from Bundu, made it 2-1 to Plymouth. On 77 minutes, Hackney equalised, making it 2-2. Didn't take long after that, on 81 minutes, though, with Bundu making it 3-2 to Plymouth Argyle. They just couldn't keep a lead, and just 3 minutes later, on 84 minutes, Latty Lath made it 3-3, and that's the way it finished. And in the second half, there were 4 yellow cards, none in the first. That point doesn't help Plymouth Argyle, though. They stay rooted to the basement of the Championship League on 18 points. They are level with Oxford and Cardiff, all on 18 points, all having played 21 games now. However, Plymouth's goal difference is -23, as opposed to Oxford, who were -16, Cardiff -15. Could be vital come the end of the season, that goal difference. Plymouth with that point, Middlesbrough with that point, they stay in 6th on 35 points. Next up was QPR and Preston. You finished QPR 2, Preston North End 1. Preston took an early lead, really, on 21 minutes with Osmajic, and it went in at half-time. Preston with a 1-0 lead. On 50 minutes, Coley equalised for QPR, making it 1-1. There was a second yellow on 83 minutes for Lindsay for Preston, and it took just 6 minutes after that when Dunn on 89 minutes got what turned out to be the winner for QPR. There was a sending off in the second half, 1 yellow card in the first half. QPR sitting 14th on 25 points, and Preston languishing 18th with 23 points. So close in the middle of that table, though. A couple of wins and you'd be up towards the You'd be up towards the playoff places. Sunderland hosted Norwich. That also finished 2-1. Sunderland 2, Norwich 1. There was also a sending off. Norwich took the lead on 21 minutes through Silmani, and that's where it stayed until half time. On the 47th minute, Ballard levelled things up for Sunderland, making it 1-1. On 70 minutes, Cordoba, he got a second yellow in his marching orders for Norwich. And on 72 minutes, Bellingham made it 2-1 for Sunderland. And that's the way it stayed. So there was a red card in the second half. There was also 6 yellow cards. And there was 3 yellow cards in the first half, so 9 in total in a red. Looking at the standings, Sunderland stay in 4th, and Norwich, they in 13th on 26 points. Lost the last 2 as well. For the last 5 games for Norwich has been a win, lost, draw, lost, lost. So the form is definitely dipping. Hull played host to Swansea. That finished 2-1. Hull took the lead on 34 minutes through João Pedro Galvão. On 42 minutes, Darling made it 1-1. And that's the way it stayed until half-time. It wasn't until the 80th minute that Burstow grabbed all 3 points for Hull. There were 4 yellow cards in the second half, 1 in the first half. Let's have a look at the standings. So Hull, with that win, they move out of the bottom 3 now. They have played a game more, but they're on 19 points. And like I say, in 21st position, just 1 above the drop zone. Swansea, they could have done without that, really. They stay in 11th on 27 points. They've lost the last 2 as well. You've got to say, if they'd have, if they're going to push towards the playoffs, they're going to need a decent run now, because that gap is starting to grow. Portsmouth hosted Coventry. It finished Portsmouth 4, Coventry 1. Coventry took the lead on 3 minutes from Bassett. On 14 minutes, Lang equalised. And on 43 minutes, Lang scored again, making it 2-1 to Portsmouth. On 48 minutes, after half-time, Lang again, making it 3-1. And Lang again on 55 minutes made it 4-1 for Portsmouth. So Lang had a fantastic day, scoring all 4. There was 1 yellow card in the first half, and that's all there was in the disciplinary stakes. But certainly a red letter day for Mr. Lang. Portsmouth, they stay in 20th on 20 points. Coventry, they are in 17th on 24 points. It's tight at the bottom. Next up, we had Sheffield Wednesday. They played Stoke at home. Empire Maker's in the chat. Hello, Empire Maker. I hope you're doing well, mate. I'm going to be getting on to Tranmere shortly. Wow. That's all I can say. Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Stoke 0. Yellow card in the first half for Sheffield Wednesday. They went in at half-time 0-0. And regardless of being down to 10 men, Windass gave them the lead on 52 minutes. And Patterson on 76 minutes made it 2-0. Tommy Cannon, normally. Merry Christmas to you, mate, as well. I hope you're doing well. Empire Maker says, please don't get on to Tranmere. We've got to do it, mate. We've got to do it. Yeah, Tommy Cannon, he missed a penalty on 82 minutes. I would normally be saying he's fired them into the lead. Not on this occasion. It finished Sheffield Wednesday 2, Stoke 0. And like yellow cards wise, there was 3 yellows in the first half and a red, 2 yellows in the second. Sheffield Wednesday, they're sitting 9th on 32 points. Stoke, they're on a bad run, Stoke. They're in 19th on 22 points. But the last 5 games, they've lost 4 and drawn 1, and they managed to get a draw with Cardiff. So they're having a bad run at the moment, our Stoke. And the other game was played on Friday night. We did that one, Luton Derby. Luton with a late comeback. Scoring 2 goals right towards the end, giving them all 3 points. So on that note, we will move on to the English League One. We had a pretty full programme yesterday. There was 3 games played on Friday night, which we already covered. But we'll start with Barnsley and Leyton Orient. Finished Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 4. It took just 6 minutes for Leyton Orient to take the lead with Donnelly. On 28 minutes, Beckles doubled Leyton Orient's lead, and that's the way it stayed until half-time. On the 51st minute, Kelman made it 3-0 to Leyton Orient. And 3 minutes into added on time, Perkins made it 4-0 and piled the misery on Barnsley. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 4. 1 yellow card in the first half, 2 further yellow cards in the second half. Empire Maker says, Jimmy, are you looking forward to Boxing Day? I certainly am, mate. We'll be having the accumulator on for the horses. We'll have the football as well. So it'll be a full on day. I hope you'll be joining us for that one, mate. We were late last night. We had a party last night, so we were late doing the horse racing results and what have you. And believe it or not, we've got another bit of a party tomorrow night. That'll be a quieter one, that will, though. All the lads are home from around the country, so it's going to be a full house over Christmas. They're coming from Dorset, Bristol. The youngest is still here, but Empire Maker says, what leagues are you doing from around Europe? I am going to be doing the Liga 1 over in France. We've got the Bundesliga. We've got Serie A and Eredivisie. Got the Scottish games as well. We've got La Liga, and we've got some Welsh football as well. So it's just a roundup of everything that's happened, mate. Where were we up to there? We did, that was it, Barnsley. Moving on to Blackpool and Stevenage. It finished 0-0. There is a video out there of match highlights, so if you can't sleep, I suggest you go and watch them. There was 1 yellow card in the first half, 3 yellow cards in the second half, making it 4 in total. That's the way it stays. Empire Maker says, I will need to go soon. I got a big day of cleaning tomorrow. Yeah, I've got to be up early myself in the morning. I've got to set off to Sherborne at 6 o'clock. Try and get back for the US markets opening at 2:30. Should do, as long as the traffic's all right. What did we say? Yeah, that was Blackpool, Stevenage. Moving on, Burton. They hosted Exeter. It was Burton 1, Exeter 2. Burton took the lead on 8 minutes through boarding. And just 2 minutes into added on time at the end of the first half, McGuinness made it 1-1. However, it was Ali on the 71st minute, gave all 3 points to Exeter. What? Looks like there was a lot of yellow cards going on in that match as well. There was 5 yellow cards in the second half, 3 yellow cards in the first half. Let's have a look how that affects the standings. Empire Meg says, I'm tired. I will go to bed now. Good night. Good night, mate. Good to have you in the chat. If I don't speak to you before, have a fantastic Christmas. Pass on my regards to your missus and your daughter. And yeah, enjoy, mate. We'll hopefully have some live streams coming up, so feel free to tune in. Good to chat to you. Have a great evening. Exeter, they stay in 13th place on 27 points. Burton struggling at the bottom though. They're in 23rd, just one off the bottom on 12 points. Mansfield hosted Rotherham and came out 1-0 winners. The only goal of the game came on 27 minutes from Ushilaja. And that was it. There was only one goal and there was one yellow card. Mansfield 1, Rotherham 0. Let's have a look at the league standings there. So Mansfield sitting 10th on 28 points. Rotherham, I won't say struggling at the bottom, but they're in 18th place on 23 points. The last 5 games, they've had a loss, a win, and a loss. So at least they're not drawing games, you know what I mean? But they won't want to be going too many more games without picking up some decent points. Right, if you're looking over your shoulder at the drop zone there. Northampton 0, Charlton 5. Started off poorly for Northampton, with Charlton taking the lead on 9 minutes through Doherty. Then on 12 minutes, Campbell doubled the lead with an assist from Leeburn. On 36 minutes, Leeburn himself made it 3-0 to the away side. And that's the way it finished at half-time. Doherty again on 68 minutes, making it 4-0 to Charlton. And to round off the misery for Northampton, in the 91st minute, Hilton made it 0-5. There was 3 yellow cards in the second half, 2 in the first. That's a proper thumping, that, isn't it, for Northampton? So Charlton sitting 11th on 27 points. Northampton, they're going to be looking over the shoulder as well. Just 1 place above the drop zone in 20th place now on 21 points, losing the last 4 out of the 5. The other result, they did get a win against Peterborough, but you're going to need to start picking some points up if you're not going to end the season in a relegation battle. Wigan hosted Shrewsbury. It finished Wigan 2, Shrewsbury 2. Wigan took the lead on 9 minutes through Asgard, and that's where it stayed until half-time. Taylor on 53 minutes doubled Wigan's lead. Before Amison, there was an own goal on 67 minutes, making it 2-1. And 87 minutes, Lloyd made it 2-2, and that's the way it finished. There was 4 yellow cards in the second half, 2 in the first half. So Wigan will be disappointed with that. They would have been hoping for all 3 points. They're sitting mid-table in 17th place on 24 points. Shrewsbury, excuse me, they're struggling. Bottom of the league, 24th position on 12 points. They're a little bit of an odd team, really. They beat Birmingham. Then they've lost to Blackpool, Cambridge, Wycombe. Then they got a draw with Wigan. But they still sit bottom of that league. Going to be a long old season. Bristol Rovers played host to Wrexham. It finished Bristol Rovers 1, Wrexham 1. Wrexham opened the scoring on 18 minutes through Lee with an assist from James. That's where it stayed until half-time. And in the 86th minute, Pomachia he made it 1-1. That's the way it finished. There was, I don't know what went on at the end of the match, but there was 3 yellow cards, all in 96 minutes. So there's probably a bit of a schmozzle gone on there. So there was 5 yellow cards in the second half, 2 yellow cards in the first. But it did finish 1-1. As for the standings, Wrexham, they sit in third on 42 points still. Bristol Rovers, they're towards the bottom again, just 2 places above the drop zone in 19th with 22 points. Lincoln hosted Reading. It finished Lincoln 2, Reading 0. Lincoln took the lead on 8 minutes with Kadamatari, and then on 37 minutes, Holzman got sent off for Reading. That was the end of the first half. On 72 minutes, Hackett Fairchild made it 2-0 to Lincoln. That's the way it stayed. There were 3 bookings in the second half and 1 red. It was a straight red in the first half, so I'm not sure what it was for, but yeah. 2-0. Lincoln beat Reading. Looking at the table, that's an important game, that. Because Lincoln now, they've gone level with Reading. Both teams on 31 points. Lincoln now in 6th, Reading in 7th. Cambridge played host to Huddersfield and got a proper good thumping. Cambridge United 0, Huddersfield 4. The demolition started on 12 minutes through Kasumu. On 32 minutes, Spencer made it 2-0 to the away side. And Marshall, on 38 minutes, made it 3-0 to Huddersfield. Stayed like that until half-time. Then Marshall, on the 72nd minute, he got his brace, making it 0-4. Cambridge 0, Huddersfield 4. That's the way it stayed. 1 yellow card in the second half, 2 in the first half. So Huddersfield, they stay in 4th place on 39 points. Cambridge still in the bottom 4, 3 off the bottom on 17 points. Stockport hosted Peterborough. It finished Stockport 2, Peterborough 1. Bailey opened the scoring on 11 minutes for Stockport. On 34 minutes, Randall equalised, making it 1-1. That's the way it went into half-time. And it took the 75th minute. Ole off made it 2-1 to Stockport, and that's the way it stayed. In the second half, there was 5 yellow cards and 2 yellow cards in the first half. In respect to the standings, Stockport are in 5th on 36 points. Peterborough down in 16th place on 24 points. Peterborough will be looking over the shoulders now. For sure, they're not that 5 points away from being in the drop zone. We did these games the other night, and finally the other one was Wickham 0, Bolton Wanderers 0. So that being said, we can move on to the English League 2. All these games were played yesterday. There was a couple that were played on Crewe and Colchester, Gillingham, Cheltenham. They were played Friday night. We covered them in Football Special Recap. So we'll move to Accrington. They hosted Salford. It finished Accrington 0, Salford 2. 0-0 at half-time. Just a couple of yellow cards in that first half. Minoga, on 48 minutes, gave Salford the lead. And on 85 minutes, Stockton doubled that lead and secured all 3 points for Salford. In the second half, there were 4 yellow cards, 2 yellow cards in the first half. In respect to the standings, Salford sitting 11th on 30 points. Not far out of the playoff places there, though. Very tight at the top. Accrington, they're they're looking over the shoulder. They're 3 off the bottom, but not in the drop zone. But Carlisle are just 4 points behind Accrington now. And Carlisle did pick up another draw on the weekend. So they do look like the draw specialist, drawing 4 of the last 5. The other was a loss. But they are picking up points. Moving on to Chesterfield, they hosted AFC Wimbledon. It finished Chesterfield 1, AFC Wimbledon 0. Dobra opened the scoring on 3 minutes for Chesterfield, and that was the only goal of the game. There was 1 yellow card in the first half, 3 yellow cards in the second half. Standings-wise, Chesterfield now have leapfrogged Wimbledon, so it's Chesterfield in 5th on 34 points, Wimbledon in 6th on 33 points. Harrogate, they hosted Walsall. It finished Harrogate 0, Walsall 2. Law on 34 minutes gave Walsall the lead. Then March got his second yellow card on 38 minutes and got his marching orders. So that's the way it was at half-time. Walsall with a 1-0 lead. They doubled that lead on 69 minutes through Adamar. And that was it till the end. Just 1 yellow card in the second half. Standings-wise, Walsall, they stay on top. First position on 43 points. They've got quite a comfortable lead there, actually, because Port Vale are in second. They are 6 points behind, and Port Vale have got a game in. Walsall have got a game in hand. Sorry. Harrogate, they are in 20th place on 21 points, looking over the shoulder at that drop zone. Morecambe hosted Bromley, finished Morecambe 0, Bromley 2. Bromley taking the lead on 19 minutes with Suwumni. That's where it stayed in until half time, and it took there was a penalty for cheat. On 84 minutes, doubling the lead, and that's the way it stayed. Just 2 yellow cards in that match, and Bromley beating Morecambe by 2-0. Standings-wise, Bromley sitting 13th on 27 points. Morecambe still rooted to the basement on 14 points. Newport, they hosted MK Dons. What a goal fest this game was. It finished Newport 6, MK Dons 3. Hold on to your hats. Newport took the lead on 12 minutes with Morris. He then doubled the lead on 16 minutes, making it 2-0. Then on 23 minutes, Camwa made it 3-0 for Newport. On 36 minutes, Morris again getting his hat-trick, made it 4-0 from the penalty spot. 4 minutes into added on time at the end of the first half, Offord pulled one back for MK Dons, making the half-time score Newport 4, MK Dons 1. In the second half, didn't take long before Newport ran the score sheet again. 47 minutes, Kawama, that was a brace for him. On 71 minutes, White pulled one back for the MK Dons, making it 5-2. Just 4 minutes later, Afford again made it 5-3 on 75 minutes. That was a couple for him, but on 81 minutes, Kawama, he made it 6-3. And that's the way it stayed. That was a hat-trick there for Kawama. In the second half, there was 3 yellow cards. Excuse me, just 1 yellow card in the first half. Standings-wise, Newport sitting 16th on 26 points. MK Dons, they're in 19. They're in ninth on 30 points from 19 games. So they've got one or two games in hand on teams around them there, the MK Dons. But they have lost the last two. Notts County, they played host to Bradford City, finished Notts County 3, Bradford City 0. Jatta on 28 minutes opened the scoring for Notts County. Just 3 minutes later, McGoldrick made it 2-0 for the county. 1 minute later, Jatta again made it 3-0, and that's the way it stayed. It was an awful, what we're talking now, an awful 4-minute period there for Bradford City where Notts County scored 3 goals. There was 1 yellow card in the first half and 1 yellow card in the second half. It finished Notts County 3, Bradford City 0. Standings wise, Notts County are in 7th on 31 points. Bradford City are in 12th on 28 points. Port Vale and Carlisle was a bit of a snooze fest. That finished 0-0. In the first half, there was 4 yellow cards. In the second half, there was 2 yellow cards. That's pretty much all I can say about that. We know that Port Vale sit in second place on 37 points. From the last 5 games, Port Vale, they've drawn 4, and the other game they lost. So they need to start getting some green wins on the board if they're going to put pressure on Walsall. Carlisle, they're still in the bottom 2, just 1 off the foot of the table. But like I said, they have drawn 4 of the last 5 games, so they are picking up some points, but they need wins. Swindon hosted Grimsby. That finished Swindon 3, Grimsby 1. Swindon took the lead on 3 minutes through Clark, and on 41 minutes, Tushimanga made it 2-0 to Swindon. That's the way they went into half-time. In the second half, Wright missed a penalty on 52 minutes for Swindon, but it didn't take too long before Tushimanga did make it 3-0 on 61 minutes. Nothing more than a consolation goal for Rose. On 72 minutes, it was a penalty. And that's the way it stayed. Swindon 3, Grimsby 1. In the first half, there was 1 yellow card. In the second half, just the 2. Standing-wise, Grimsby there in 8th on 31 points. They've lost the last 2, though. And Swindon, they're in 21st, just 2 above the drop zone. They're on 19 points. Barrow played host to Fleetwood. Finished Barrow 2, Fleetwood 0. Barrow opened the scoring on 4 minutes through Aqua with an assist from Gotts. And on 10 minutes, they doubled the lead through Vassell. And that's the way it stayed. Barrow 2, Fleetwood 0. There was 1 yellow card in that first half and 1 in the second. In respect to the table, Barrow sit in 15th on 26 points. Fleetwood are in 18th on 23 points. And finally, Empire Maker's gone now. He's gone to bed. I'm not surprised. Doncaster 3, Tranmere Rovers 1. It started on 38 minutes, the bad news for Tranmere. Olowu made it 1-0 to Doncaster. 3 yellow cards in the first half. In the second half, Davis got his second yellow for Tranmere and got sent off on 54 minutes. Then on 66 minutes, Kelly made it 2-0 for Doncaster. And Hurst on 77 minutes they think it's all over. It was for Tranmere. He made it 3-0. They did get a consolation goal, did Tranmere, on the 83rd minute from Solomon, but the game was well and truly gone. So there was one yellow and a sending off in the second half, and 3 yellows in the first half. Doncaster in the league stay in third, and they're on 36 points. Tranmere are not moving up this table. They're sitting 19th now on 21 points, and they just there's only 2 go down from this league, which might be Tranmere's saving grace, but they are 6 points away from the drop zone. And the form is awful. From the last 5 games, they've had 3 defeats, 1 draw, and 1 victory. They need to start getting some 3 points under the belt to Tranmere. And the other games that were played on Friday night, Crewe and Colchester, that finished goalless, and Gillingham 2, Cheltenham 2. The spoils were shared. We covered that on Friday night, which is why I'm not going over it again, because we've got so much football to get through. So that was the end of the English football. What I'll do now, I'll go through to finish the English off, we'll go through the scores that came, and then we'll go through up into Scotland. So we'll start with the National League. That was Barnet 1, FC Halifax 1, Braintree 0, Oldham 2, Eastleigh 1, Maidenhead 0, Ebbsfleet 1, Gateshead 4, Forest Green 1, Aldershot 1, Hartlepool 2, Yeovil 1, Solihull Moors 4, AFC Fylde 1, Sutton 1, Tamworth 2, Wealdstone 3, Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Woking 2, Altrincham 1, York City 3, Southend 0. Let's have a quick look at this top of the table. York sit on top of the table, followed by Barnet, Forest Green, Gateshead, Oldham, Rochdale and Solihull Moors. That's your top 7. At the bottom of the table, in 21st place you've got Braintree, 22nd place Maidenhead, 23rd Boston United, and right at the foot of the table, Ebbsfleet. So that was the National League. We'll go on the National League North now. Alfreton 2, Radcliffe 1, Chester 1, Kings Lynn 1, Chorley 2, Rushall 1, Farsley 1, Brackley Town 1, Kidderminster 2, Southport 0, Leamington 4, Curzon Ashton 1, Needham Market 0, Darlington 1, Oxford City 3, Spennymoor 0, Scarborough 1, Peterborough Sports 1, Scunthorpe 0, Hereford 0, South Shields 2, Marine 0, Warrington 1, Buxton 0. As for the standings, Curzon Ashton sit on top on 42 points, followed by Kings Lynn, Kidderminster, Scunthorpe, Chorley, Hereford, Alfreton. That's your top 7. At the basement of the table, you've got Marine in 21st, Radcliffe in 22nd, Needham Market 23rd, and holding the rest of the table up at the bottom, Rushall. Northern League South. Wait for the scores to come up. Bath 3, Aveley 0, Borehamwood 1, Tonbridge 1, Chelmsford 0, Weymouth 0, Chesham 0, Dorking 5, Hampton and Richmond 2, Slough 2, Hornchurch 1, Chippenham 2, Maidstone 4, Farnborough 0, Salisbury 3, Welling 1, St Albans 1, Truro 2, Torquay 1, Hemel Hempstead 0, Weston-super-Mare 0, Eastbourne Borough 1. And finally, Worthing 1, Enfield Town 0. Standings wise, Torquay sit top of the league on 43 points, followed by Truro, Boreham Wood, Dorking, Maidstone, Weston-super-Mare and Worthing. That's your top 7. At the basement, in 21st place, Aveley on 15 points, followed by Enfield in 22nd, St Albans 23rd, Weymouth sit bottom in 24th. I just want to check, was there any games in the National League? In the National League Cup? No, there wasn't. So we can move on to the NPL Premier Division. Ashton United 1, Warrington Rylands 1. Guiseley 1, Stockton 0. Guiseley 1, Stockton 1. Hepburn Town 3, Blythe 1. Hyde 1, Bamber 1. Ilkeston 1, Micklehove 0. Lancaster 1, Workington 1. Leek 4, Basford 1. Morpeth 1, Gainsborough 0. Prescott 2, Macclesfield 2. Worksop 1, FC United 1. Standings are for the NPL Premier Division. Macclesfield sit top on 57 points. That's a commanding lead over Guiseley. They've got a 16-point lead. Guiseley second, Worksop third, Ilkeston fourth, Ashton United fifth. Down at the bottom, Basford sit in 19th, Leek in 20th, Micklehove 21st, and Blythe hold the rest up, bottom of the table. Moving on to the Southern League. Southern League Premier Central. Banbury 1, Barwell 2. Bishop Stortford 1, Leiston 2. Hales Owen 2, Redditch 1. Harborough 0, Alfchurch 1. Hitchin 0, Stamford 2. Lowestoft 1, St Ives 1. Spalding 1, Kettering 1. Stourbridge 1, AFC Telford 1. Stratford 2, Bromsgrove 3. Top of the table of the Southern League Premier Central sit Kettering, followed by Hales Owen in second, AFC Telford third, Stratford fourth, Stourbridge in fifth. Bottom of the table, Harborough in 19th, Bromsgrove 20th, Hitchin 21st, Biggleswade bottom of the table in 22nd. Just got to find the next league now. So that was the Southern League Premier Central. We've now got Southern League Premier South. Starting with AFC Totton 2, Sholing 1. Chertsey 0, Haventon Waterloo 4. Dorchester 5, Tiverton 0, Gosport 1, Hungerford 0, Marlow 2, Walton and Hersham 3, Plymouth Parkway 6, Gloucester 0, Taunton 2, Poole 0, Wimborne 2, Winchester 4, Bracknell 4, Hanwell Town 1. Merthyr sit top of the table on 47 points, followed by AFC Totton in second, Gloucester third, Hampton Waterlooville fourth, Dorchester in fifth. Bottom of the league are Marlow holding everybody up, Tiverton sitting 19th, Plymouth Parkway 20th, Rome 21st, and like I just said, in 22nd place, Marlow. Moving to the Istomin League Premier Division. Canby Island 0, Horsham FC 1. Carshalton 2, Chatham 0. Cheshunt 1, Dover 2. Chichester 1, Hendon 0. Cray Wanderers 1, Billericay 1. Dulwich Hamlet 2, Cray Valley 4. Folkestone 0, Dartford 1. Hastings 2, Bowers and Pitsea 4. Potters Bar 1, Bognor Regis 1. White Hawk 1, hashtag 1. Wingate and Finchley 2, lose 2. Dover sit top of the league on 46 points, followed by Cray Valley in second, Billericay in third, Dartford fourth, Carshalton fifth. Down at the bottom of the table, White Hawk are in 19th, Cheshunt are in 20th, Bowers and Pitsea 21st, and Bognor Regis in 22nd, bottom of the league. Right, let's move over to Scotland. So these games were played today, yesterday, and Friday. We had Hearts hosting St Johnstone. It finished Hearts 2, St Johnstone 1. Penrice on 16 minutes opening the scoring for Hearts. There was a goal disallowed for offside for Hearts on 38 minutes offside. So it went in Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0 at half time. On 53 minutes, Curry got St Johnstone back in that game with a penalty, making it 1-1. But just 5 minutes later, Spittle on 58 minutes made it 2-1 to Hearts. That's the way it stayed. There was 2 yellow cards in the second half, 1 yellow card in the first half. Standings wise, battle of the bottom there. Hearts are in 10th on 16 points. St Johnstone, they're rooted to the bottom on 14 points. Dundee United hosted Celtic, and surprise, surprise, that finished 0-0. So a good result there for Dundee in a way. Just 1 yellow card in the first half, 2 yellow cards in the second. Celtic still with a commanding lead, though, at the top of the table on 44 points. Dundee United in 5th, but 19 points behind. The wheels have definitely come off Aberdeen's season. It was quite exciting early on, wasn't it? But they hosted Hibernian and they got beat. Aberdeen 1, Hibernian 3. Aberdeen did take the lead on 14 minutes through Keskinen, but just 4 minutes later, Yuan, he levelled things up for Hibernian, making it 1-1. Then before half-time, Cadden, on 35 minutes, made it 2-1 to the away side. So already Aberdeen behind. It didn't take long, just 4 minutes from half-time, when Boyle made it Aberdeen 1, Hibernian 3. That's the way it stayed. There was 3 yellow cards in the second half, just the 1 in the first half. Like I said, Aberdeen this season is falling apart. The last 5 games for Aberdeen, they sit in third on 34 points, but they've drawn, lost. You can't just pick up 3 points from 5 games if you're going to try and challenge Celtic or Rangers. Hibernian, they're in 8th on 18 points. And Rangers hosted Dundee FC. It finished Rangers 1, Dundee FC 0. 46 minutes, just 1 minute after half time, Cerny made it 1-0, and that was enough for all 3 points. No yellow cards in the first half and 4 yellow cards in the second half. That means Rangers sit in second place behind Celtic, but with 9 points behind. It's not an insurmountable amount, but it's not looking good. You wouldn't want to put your mortgage on it, would you? Dundee FC, they sit in 7th on 19 points, having lost the last 2. Ross County, they hosted St Mirren. They got beat. Ross County 1, St Mirren 2. 27 minutes, Lacoviti put St Mirren in the lead. That's where it stayed up until half-time. In the second half, 1 minute after half-time, Efete made it 1-1. St Mirren were reduced to 10 men on 55 minutes. But they went and they did what they did against Aberdeen. They've gone and won again with 10 men. It was Smythe on 89 minutes, making it Ross County 1, St Mirren 2. Yeah, that's twice they've done that this season. There was 1 yellow card in the first half. In the second half, there was a sending off and a further 3 yellow cards. In respect of the standings, Ross County, they stay 11th on 15 points. St Mirren are in 6th on 24 points. And there was one game, we covered that one, Motherwell and Kilmarnock. We covered it on Friday night. It finished Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1. Moving on to let's have a quick drink. Moving on to the Scottish Championship. Can find it. There we go. There was only another 4 games. We covered Queen's Park and Wraith on Friday night. That finished Queen's Park 1, Wraith 2. Yesterday, Erdrionians 0, Partick Thistle 2. Erdrionians' season is not going well, is it? They just can't catch a break. It took 37 minutes before Partick Thistle took the lead by Graham. And then just before half-time, O'Reilly made it 2-0 to the away side. After half-time, nothing happened apart from there was 1 further yellow card. So there was 2 in the match. Standings-wise, we know where Erdrionians are, rooted to the bottom on just 6 points. Partick Thistle, they're in 4th on 29 points. Falkirk played Hamilton. It finished Falkirk 1, Hamilton 0. No goals in the first half, just 1 yellow card. And in the 80th minute, Morrison made sure Falkirk took all 3 points. There was a further 4 yellow cards in the second half, so 5 for the match. In respect of standings, Falkirk remain top of the league on 41 points. Hamilton are in 8th on 18 points with just 1 victory and 4 losses in the last 5 games. Livingston 0, United 1. Just a 1 goal on 41 minutes for Oakley, enough to give her all 3 points. 2 yellow cards in the first half. Blimey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellow cards in the second half. In respect of the table, Livingston, they are in 2nd place on 36 points. And with that victory, closing in now, they sit in 3rd place on 34 points, just 2 behind Livingston. And finally, Morton 2, Dunfermline 0. Boys on 22 minutes opening the scoring for Morton. Stayed that way until half time. 2 minutes into the second half, Blues made it 2-0 to Morton. That's the way it stayed. There was a sending off for Dunfermline on 50 minutes. Wotherspoon, he got a yellow card on 48 minutes and a second yellow on 50 minutes. So he obviously didn't learn his lesson. He was sent off. So there was 2 yellow cards in the first half. 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow cards and a red in the second half. So the referee will need a new pen because he'll be running out of ink there. In respect of the table, Morton are in 7th on 19 points. Dunfermline still one off the bottom on 15 points. And that is the end of the Scottish Championship. Scottish League One. Five games played. Annan. They hosted Arbroath. They got beat easily. Annan 0, Arbroath 4. Taylor on 12 minutes opened the scoring. Riley on 22nd minutes doubled Arbroath's lead. And Murray on 43 minutes pretty much sealed the deal. It was 3-0 at half time to Arbroath. In the second half, it took 4 minutes for Riley again to get on the score sheet from the penalty spot, making it Annan 0, Arbroath 4. That's how it finished. In the second half, there were 2 yellow cards in respect of standings. Arbroath, with that win, they stay at the top on 31 points. Annan are in 8th on 18 points. Cove Rangers 2, Alloa 0. Daj on 22 minutes, getting Cove Rangers underway. Stayed at 1-0 until half time. In the second half, there was a late goal securing the points for Cove Rangers on 88 minutes through Gaffney. 3 yellow cards in that match. Alloa in 4th on 25 points. Cove Rangers now equal on 25 points with Alloa, but just 1 place behind him in the league on goal difference. They sit in 5th. Kelty Hearts 2, Queen of the South 0. No goals in the first half, just 1 yellow card. In the 64th minute, Cunningham put Kelty Hearts in the lead. And on 87 minutes, Cunningham again from the penalty spot secured all the points for Kelty Hearts with a 2-0 win. Just 2 yellow cards in the game. Kelty Hearts sit in 2nd on 29 points. Queen of the South, they're in 7th on 21 points. Montrose played host to Dumbarton. It finished Montrose 1, Dumbarton 2. Gray getting Dumbarton off to a great start on 25 minutes, making it 0-1. That's the way it stayed until half-time. 4 yellow cards in that first half. In the second half, Gray again doubling Dumbarton's lead on 76 minutes. Before, on the 80th minute, Mackenzie made it 1-2, pulling one back for Montrose, and probably a nervy ending. There was a sending off in the 93rd minute for Montrose. That was Quinn. So in the first half, there was 4 yellow cards. In the second half, there was 1 red and 2 yellow. So it looked like there was a little bit of feistiness towards the end of the game, which you would expect with Montrose. They would have been wanting to win that. They currently sit in 6th on 23 points. Dumbarton, bottom of the league. They've had 15 points deducted for financial problems. They're only on 4 points. But if you look at Dumbarton's last 5 games, they've won, drawn, lost, and won. So no surprise that they came out 2-1 winners away at Montrose. And finally, in the Scottish League One, Stenhousemuir 0, Inverness, Calithistle 1. 86 minute. Nothing happened in the first half. 86 minute. Allen getting the only goal of the game for Inverness. 2 yellows in the second half also. Stenhousemuir, despite that defeat, they're still sitting third on 27 points. Inverness still in the drop zone on 10 points. They've had 15 points deduction though for financial problems. Fighting hard though to stay up. That is the Scottish League 1. Finally up in Scotland, we've got Scottish League 2. Clyde hosted Forfar. It finished Clyde 2, Forfar 0. Allen on 2 minutes getting Clyde in the lead. Stayed that way until half time. 70 minutes in, Rennie made it 2-0 for Clyde. No doubt he calmed things down a bit. Hey, like what I did there. No yellow cards in the first half. There was 5 yellow cards in the second half. It finished Clyde 2, Forfar 0. Standings wise, Clyde stay sitting 8th on 18th points, and Forfar are in 10th, bottom of the league, on 13 points. East Fife 5, Spartans 1. Troughton got East Fife underway on 27 minutes with a penalty. And 36 minutes in, Troughton again got on the score sheet, making it 2-0 for East Fife at half-time. In the second half, McManus made it 3-0 to East Fife before Stowe on 57 minutes pulled one back for Spartans, making it 3-1. Comeback didn't last long though, because on 67 minutes, Shepherd made it 4-1 and saw his flock home. In the 91st minute, Miller made it 5-1. In the second half, there was 1 yellow card. That's in the bookings department. That is all there was. In the standings department, East Fife, they stay in second on 30 points, just 1 behind Peterhead, who sit top. Spartans are on 19 points. They sit in 6th. Edinburgh City 1, Elgin 0. Nothing happened in the first half. No goals, no yellow cards. 6 minutes into the second half, on 51 minutes, Stokes made it 1-0 to Edinburgh City. And that's the way it finished. There was 4 yellow cards in the second half. Edinburgh sit in 4th on 25 points. Elgin still sitting 3rd though, 4 points above Edinburgh. They're on 29 points. Peterhead 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. No goals in the first half, but there was a yellow card and then a sending off for Bonnyrigg Rose. In the second half, they held on until the 64th minute, but Paulet gave Peterhead the lead. And on 71 minutes, Shanks, he didn't shank this one, he made it 2-0 to Peterhead. And that's the way it finished. In the second half, there were 3 yellow cards to go with a red card and another yellow in the first half. Standing-wise, Peterhead remained top of the league on 31 points. Bonnyrigg Rose, they're in 7th on 18 points, and Bonnyrigg have also been deducted 6 points for a federation decision. That's what it's given as. So they're doing well, Bonnyrigg Rose. And finally, Stirling 1, Stranraer 1. No goals, no cards in the first half. In the second half, in the 88th minute, Russell gave Stranraer the lead, and it looked like the away side were going to take all 3 points. But 4 minutes into added on time, Kurt got an equaliser, ensuring all the points were shared. There's 4 yellow cards in the second half as well. Sterling there in 5th place on 23 points. Stramrat just one off the drop zone on 17 points. That's it from north of the border. Just want to check over in Wales in the Premier Division. There was one game played today, TNS 5, Britain Ferry 2. TNS took the lead on 7 minutes, from Brobble. Britain Ferry equalised on 14 minutes from Demery, but then TNS took over with two further goals in the first half from Orte on 19 minutes and Williams on 32 minutes. So half time it was TNS 3, Britain Ferry 1. In the second half, just 3 minutes in, Wilson made it 4-1 for TNS. Hereford on the 78th minute possibly give Britain Ferry some hope, making it 4-2. But it didn't last long. Just 4 minutes later, Williams on 82 minutes wrapped up the points for TNS. TNS 5, Britain Ferry 2. Been doing all right in Europe as well, TNS. They're in second place behind Peñabont on 39 points, TNS. Britain Ferry just one off the bottom on 14 points. Now that game, that was a round 4 game, so it's obviously been with TNS playing in Europe. Yesterday, there were 2 games played. Aberystwyth hosted Carnarvon, and it finished Aberystwyth 3, Carnarvon 1. Flint on 45 minutes, 4 minutes into added on time at the end of the first half, he gave Aberystwyth the lead. In the second half, on 72 minutes, Evans made it 2-0 to Aberystwyth before on 84 minutes Hartley got sent off for Aberystwyth, and there was a goal back for Carnarvon on 85 minutes from Lloyd, but I think they were pushing forward and got caught on the counter because Evans made it 3-1, and that was the final score. Aberystwyth 3, Carnarvon 1. A lot of yellow cards in this game. In the first half, there was 5 yellow cards in the first half. In the second half, there was a further red card, followed by another 3 yellow cards. So once again, I think the referee is going to be needing a new biro. Carnarvon sit in 6th place on 28 points. Aberystwyth, their foot of the table, on 13 points. That victory is a big result for Aberystwyth. It gets them back into touching distance of Brittany Ferry, who were just above them on 14 points. So a big result. And finally, Barlowtown 3, Barry 1. Barlow took the lead on 37 minutes through Clark, and that's the way it stayed until half-time. On 70 minutes, Malkin doubled the lead, making it 2-0. And just before the full-time whistle on 89 minutes, Mehasib made it 3-0 to Barlowtown. There was a consolation goal. Owen Lewin Gwyn on 90 minutes pulled one back for Barry, but too little too late. 4 bookings in the match, and it finished Barlowtown 3, Barry 1. In respect to the standings, Barlow sit in 5th on 28 points. Barry are in 7th on 28 points. Carnarvon sit in between the pair of them on 28 points. And moving over to Europe now. start off with France, League One. The last game that was played was Monaco to PSG 4, which we covered, and I think the rest of it is because it was cup. I think it's a French cup that's been played. So we will move on to the Bundesliga. Results from round 15. Wolfsburg 1, Dortmund 3. Dortmund down to 10 men in that game. Still got all 3 points though. Bochum 2, Heidenheim 0. Leverkusen 5, Freiburg 1. Bremen 4, Union Berlin 1. Frankfurt 1, Mainz 3. Mainz down to 10 men. Hoffenheim 1, Mönchengladbach 2. Kiel 5, Augsburg 1. Stuttgart 0, St. Pauli 1. And finally, Bayern 5, RB Leipzig 1. We covered that game in Friday night's football special, a recap. In respect of the standings in the Bundesliga, Bayern still sit top on 36 points, with Leverkusen second, Frankfurt third, RB Leipzig fourth, Mainz fifth and Dortmund sixth. At the bottom, it's Heidenheim in 16th, Kiel 17th, and the very bottom of the league, Bochum in 18th place. Although they did get 3 points today, beating Heidenheim. Big 3 points there for Bochum. Moving over to Serie A. Monza 1, Juventus 2. Atalanta 3, Empoli 2. Venezia 2, Calgary 1. AS Roma 5, Parma 0. Those games were played today. These games were played yesterday. Lecce 1, Lazio 2. Lecce down to 10 men in that game. Genoa 1, Napoli 2. Torino 0, Bologna 2. And on Friday night, Verona 0, AC Milan 1. We covered that in Friday night's football special, a recap. Let's have a look at the league standings. At the top, Atalanta sit in first place on 40 points, followed by Napoli in second, Inter third, Lazio fourth, Fiorentina fifth, Juventus in sixth. At the bottom of the table, Calgary 18th, Venezia 19th, and at the very bottom, Monza in 20th. Moving over to the Eredivisie. Played today. There was a game there that's been abandoned as well. We'll get to that in a second. Willem 2, 4, Nijmegen 1, PSV 3, Feyenoord 0, Utrecht 2, Sittard 5, Utrecht down to 10 men in that game, Sparta Rotterdam 0, Ajax 2, Heracles 1, Groningen 1, Groningen down to 10 men, and then for some reason this game was abandoned. Oh dear. This game was abandoned because spectator riots. So Heracles and Groningen will be getting a fine coming there. It looks like, because we've just gone midnight, does this every time. All of this at the bottom, it'll reappear again in a second. Yeah, so not good there that that game got postponed because of fan trouble. These games were played yesterday. It finished Alkmaar 1, Twente 0, Almere City 3, Heerenveen 0, GA Eagles 2, NAC Breda 1, and there was one other game played on Friday night which we covered. Valjuik 1, Zvola 1. Let's have a look at the standings. PSV sit top on 45 points. Ajax second, Utrecht third, Feyenoord fourth, Alkmaar fifth, Twente sixth, Go Ahead Eagles seventh, and Sittard eighth. Bottom of the table, Sparta Rotterdam in 16th, Almere City in 17th, and Valjvik 18th. Sorry for butchering the name. And the only other football we've got to do now is La Liga. Games played today. Betis 1, Rayo Vallecano 1, Las Palmas 1, Espanyol 0, Leganés 2, Villarreal 5, Leganés down to 9 men in that match, Real Madrid 4, Sevilla 2, Valencia 2, Alaves 2. Then moving over to yesterday's games, Barcelona 1, Atletico Madrid 2, Osasuna 1, Athletic Bilbao 2, Celta Vigo 2, Real Sociedad 0, Getafe 0, Mallorca 1. There was one game on Friday night, which was Girona 3, Valladolid 0. In respect of the standings, Atletico Madrid now take over at the top on 41 points. Real Madrid are in second on 40 points. Barcelona in third on 38 points. Then you've got Athletic Bilbao in fourth, Villarreal in fifth, Mallorca in sixth. Bottom of the table, Espanyol are in 18th, Valencia 19th, Valladolid at the bottom in 20th with just 12 points, as of Valencia actually. And that concludes Football Special, a recap of football from around the UK and Europe's top leagues from this weekend. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. If you can ping that notifications bell, that would be fantastic. And if you can give us a thumbs up, that's superb. The algorithm at YouTube loves that, apparently. We've got 3 stream supporters for tonight: jalexpetproducts.co.uk, heavenlypleasures.co.uk, removepest.co.uk. Links will be in the description. Use the promo codes that are there and grab yourself a discount. Get yourself a bargain. Just a couple of days to go now before Christmas Day. We'll be back tomorrow morning with our accumulator for the horses, 6-horse accumulator, 10p stake, and possibly be each way, but keep your eye out for that one. And yeah, thank you for watching Football Special, a recap. We don't normally do it live, but we may as well. It saves having to upload it, and it saves time. So thank you for tuning in. I am Jimmy James. You've been watching Football Special, a recap on Catch It Live First. Enjoy your Monday.